Welcome everybody. Today we are going to talk about percentiles and quartiles. And what you want to think about with this lesson is, America has this obsession with ranking people. We always want to know where we fall in a rank, okay? Are we in the top, are we in the bottom, are we in the middle? And a percentile is a way that we can rank, okay, position. The earliest that a percentile was probably used in your life is when you were born. Okay, you were weighed and they measured your height. And for example, if they said that your weight was in the 50th percentile, okay, well that means that you are basically average. Okay, 50% of the population weighs more than you, 50% of the population weighs less than you. Okay, right smack in the middle, 50th percentile. If they said that your height was in the 90th percentile, that means that they're projecting you to be a very tall person, that only 10% of the population is taller than you, and that you are going to be taller than 90% of the population. So again, a percentile is based on that 100%. Okay, we're dealing with all those values. So it could be from the first percentile all the way to the 99th percentile when we talk about ranking. So in our first example here, okay, it says a teacher gave a 20-point test to 10 students. The scores are shown here. Find the percentile rank for a score of 12. Okay, so anytime we deal with percentiles, quartiles, where we're doing ranking, the first thing that we have to do is put our numbers in order. And what I'm going to do before I put my numbers in order is I'm just going to write 1 through 10 because I have 10 values. Okay, and when I go through my data set, right, 2 is the first number, then 3, then 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 18, and then finally 20. So that's just a systematic way that I can do that so that I know I put all my numbers in order and I know I did that correctly. Okay, so I have 10 numbers, they're in order, and the question is, find the percentile rank of a score of 12. Okay? So whenever we're asked for a percentile rank, okay, what our formula is going to be is the scores below plus 0.5 divided by the sample size. And again, what that means is, well, how many scores are below 12? And again, we can see there are 6 scores that are below 12, so 6 plus a half. And again, what's my sample size? 10 values. Okay? So this formula is not going to change when we're asked for a percentile rank. Okay? So 6.5 divided by 10, we know is 0.65. Okay? And what does 0.65 mean in terms of percentile? Well, when I multiply that by 100, that is the 65th percentile. And again, thinking about what that means, a score of 12, okay, which is more in the higher end, okay, of the scores, okay, it makes sense that 65% of the population is going to do worse than that, and only 35% of the population is going to do better than that score. So again, it gives you a measure of position, and that's what we're talking about today, measures of position, percentiles, quartiles. Okay, second example, okay, find a percentile rank for a score of 6. Okay, well, if I look at a score of 6, this time there are only 3 values that are below it. So 3 plus 0.5 divided by my sample size. And again, realize you're not always going to be dividing by 10. You may have a sample where there's only 8 numbers or 6 numbers. So 3.5 divided by 10 is 0.35. Again, which represents the 35th percentile. And thinking about that logically, that makes sense. Okay, scores that are below, okay, 6 is in the lower end, so only 35% of the people are going to do worse than that score, 65% are going to do better. Okay. So that's the first thing we have to do with a percentile, is be able to find its rank. Now, if we reverse it, if we do the opposite, it says find the value corresponding to the 25th percentile. Okay? So now we want to know what score up here would represent the 25th percentile. Okay? So when we're trying to find the value, our formula is going to be the percentile times the number divided by 100. So in this particular case, the 25th percentile is going to be our percentile. Okay, how many values do we have? Again, we have 10, and we're dividing by 100. So 250 divided by 100 is going to be 2.5. Right? Well, 2.5, okay, again, when we say value, we're not saying the actual score, we're saying where is 2.5 located. Whenever this comes out to be a decimal, we round it up, no matter what the decimal is. So what we're looking for is the third value. What's the third value in our data set? Okay, 1, 2, 3, and again, that's why I number these, makes it a little bit easier. The third value in our data set is a score of 5. So for this particular quiz, if you scored a 5 on it, then you scored in the 25th percentile. Okay? Which again means 75% of the population did better than you. You did not do that great on this score, that's why it's a low percentile. Okay? The thing that you want to be clear of is that you don't say my answer is 3. It's not a score of 3, it's the third value. So then you go back and look at the score. And if we look at the last example, okay, the 60th percentile. So again, if I use my formula, 60th percentile times 10 values divided by 100. So the difference between this one, okay, is that when I did it, my value came out to be a whole number, okay? When your value comes out to be a whole number, and again, it's a little quirky with this formula, okay? What we're gonna look at is the 6th value and one value above it, the 7th value, okay? So the 6th value is a 10, the 7th value is a 12, okay? Basically, the 60th percentile is gonna fall right in between those two. What's the average of 10 and 12? 11. So a score of 11 would be, okay, in the 60th percentile. So when I, excuse me, when I am finding the values for percentiles, if my value comes out to be a decimal, I round up. If my value comes out to be a whole number, I'm going to take that value and the next one and take the average of the two. So, just so we're clear on that, let's say we did the 50th percentile. Okay, 50 times 10 over 100 would be the 5th value. So again, that came out to be a whole number. So I would want to look at the 5th value and the 6th value. I would take the average of 8 and 10, and I would divide by 2. Okay? And if you think about that, that's going to make sense because that's the 50th percentile is our center. It's our median. It's our middle. If you took the middle of this data set, okay, well, what's the middle? 5 numbers on this side, 5 numbers on that side. The middle is 9. Okay, they match up. Okay, so that's percentiles. Okay, the second thing that we're going to look at is quartiles. So when we look at a quartile, okay, the difference is now we are dividing our data into quarters. Okay, so again, I have a data set. I have numbers 5, 6, 12, 13, 15, 18, 22, and 50. So in this data set, I have 8 numbers. Okay, and again, just like with the percentiles, I'm going to break my data up lowest to highest. Okay? So again, we're just trying to organize this data. We're trying to figure out position. So with a quartile, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, where's the middle? Okay? I know the middle falls 4 values on this side, 4 values on that side. The middle, we know is the median. We know it's the 50th percentile. It is also called Q2. Okay? Quartile 2, 2 quarters is 50 cents. That's why it is the 50th percentile. Okay? When you look on this side now of your data, okay, I have my data into 2 pieces. What's the middle of this data? Okay? Well, between these 2 values, that's going to be the 25th percentile, or Q1. And again, what is the average, okay, between 6 and 12? The average is 9. So Q1 would be 9. If I do the same thing on the other side, okay, these 4 numbers, where's the middle? That's going to represent quartile 3, or what we call the 75th percentile. So average of 18 and 22 is going to be 20. Okay, and going back to my second quartile, okay, what is the middle of 13 and 15? 14 was my median 50 percentile, or Q2. So our middle has 3 different names now. Okay, the median, 50th percentile, or Q2 could be considered the middle. So what I've done here is I've broken my data up into basically 4 quarters. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why it's called a quartile. Some mathematicians like to use mean and standard deviation, center spread. Other mathematicians like to use median, okay, and what we call the IQR. The IQR is called the interquartile range. Okay, so we abbreviate interquartile range as IQR. Basically what that is saying what's the range between Q3 and Q1. Q3 is 20, Q1 is 9, the IQR is 11. And the way you want to think about the IQR, it's the middle 50% of your data. Okay? It's that spread of the middle 50%. Okay? So again, like a standard deviation, we're saying how much does our data differ. In this case, we're saying 25% each side. Okay? So IQR, middle 50% of your data, it's a way to look at the spread of your distribution. How much does it differ from your median? Your median is your center, your IQR is your spread. So if you're asked for a 5-number summary, okay, which is a quick way to look at your data, okay, the 5-number summary is what's the minimum score, what's the maximum score, and what are your quartiles. So we know Q3 was 20, Q2 was 14, Q1 was 9. The maximum score is 50. The minimum score was 5. Just gives you a summary of your data, okay? Which later on we'll talk about how we make a box plot out of that. And also in another video, we're going to look at, do any of these values look like an outlier? Does it look like one of these values doesn't belong? Okay? Most people would say this 50 looks a little suspicious. And we're gonna show you if we can prove that's an outlier or not, if we can remove that from our data set, because it looks like it's gonna skew our data set. 50 is way off all those other numbers. But for now, what you wanna be able to do is be able to find, excuse me, a percentile rank and a quartile rank in your 5-number summary, okay? So again, there will be handouts posted in that section. Work on those, practice those, use the video, and have a good day.